Hugh, man, thanks for making it today. One of our newest members, everybody, and we're excited to have him. Give us a 30-second pitch on who
Yeah,
you are, what you're doing, everything like that, man. Happy to have you.
yeah. Thanks, Noel. I appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Nice to meet you all. So, Hugh O'Donnell. I'm in Naperville, Illinois, so right outside of Chicago. Coming from financial services, been working in the financial service industry for 30 years. So 54 years old. Got two kids inching their way through college, and really looking at this as a great opportunity for kind of like a second career. So definitely excited to dig in here and work with you all. So nice to meet you.
No, that's awesome. Hugh, thanks for making it, man. Anybody got any advice for Hugh as he's getting rolling? I've been back and forth. CH and I were just talking on the phone a couple days ago. Will and I are chatting all the time. Andrew and John, everybody, we're all the same on the same page. So anybody got any decent advice as we are as Hugh's getting rolling, just out of curiosity for anybody's opinion? If not, no big deal. I guess I'll give him this advice. Stay in it, keep going.
Yeah, keep grinding, right?
Um,
Yeah.
no, no, that sounds great. Again, happy to have you, Hugh. Again, how we usually roll this, and there's not really an agenda. Again, Zane is on these calls. He's literally traveling on the other side of the world right now. I don't even know where he is. I don't know what time it is. Like, we've been kind of chatting in like the early mornings and the late evenings when he's getting up or whatever. But the whole point of this call, really, every single week is maintenance. I would look at this as like guys that, again, CH is working on a deal. I know John's got a deal going on. Just because you guys have like mentioned stuff to me, the point of this really is to, when you got something that you're working on, of course, during the week, with Adam and Zane and everybody, we can do something specific. But I also think it's good, and you guys tell me your opinion. I think it's also good when you can have other people's thoughts and insights as well. So that's the point of this call. So we can get rolling on everything, um, to hear what everyone's working on. Again, I spoke with CH just the other day on a deal that he's working on. It's got some hair on it, but it's got some upside. Um, there's Andrew right there too, and Andrew's got a great deal that he's working on too. So there's the opportunity is up there. It's just figuring out how to get something from start to finish, I guess. So anybody have any kind of pregame thoughts as we get rolling into the call?
I can give a quick update on mine.
Yeah, bring it, man. Bring it.
I got the PSA from the broker and sent it over. I spoke with I may get his name wrong because I don't have it in front of me. Is it Mark? The
Yeah,
guy that was
Mark.
on your
Mark, that's
call?
right. That's Mark. That's right. That closing
Yep. So I
attorney.
spoke with yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
right.
I spoke with him this morning. Sent over the PSA to him for review. Kind of talked through what I'm looking for, and as far as like protections and things that I need to have on there. So he's reviewing it, gonna get it back to me. I did speak with one bank on financing on this deal for I don't know. I've covered it before, but I don't know who was on, who wasn't. So the seller's going to leave 30% in the deal on a 5-year balloon, so 60 months. So the first bank I spoke to, they're looking at my debt service coverage ratio, but they're looking at the first and second lien on and add them up. So basically, what I owe the bank plus what I owe my payment to the seller. So it obviously puts it at like a 1.12 debt service coverage ratio when you look at it like that. So they're meeting about it. Well, I guess his board or some decision makers to see what they can do. But in the meantime, I was talking to the broker that is working with me on this deal, and he referred me to 3 other banks, and they're all up there where this building is. It's about an hour and a half from my house. So I called the president of that bank today and let him know that got the referral from this broker. He said, "Oh yeah, I know him. We worked together a few weeks ago." So I went over my deal with him, sent him all my information that I needed to get started. He sounded really excited about it.
Nice.
I made sure I gave them all the details about how it was kind of structured and things like that, so there was no surprises when we started looking at it. So that's kind of where I'm at when I get the green light from the attorney or any changes made, and I have maybe I have a term letter even or a term sheet from the bank, then I'll sign the PSA and we'll probably be off to the races on that one.
Man, that's great. And I think for the same story with Andrew is you got that introduction from the broker to the banker, right?
Yep.
That's one of the most valuable introductions and referrals that you can get because when the bank is, they're in the risk mitigation business. They're conservative, and then you get an introduction from a broker that they know, like, and trust. Immediately, you're painted you're painting the picture that, hey, you are someone to be trusted and known and liked, right? Versus you just like hitting them cold calling and saying, hey, I want to looking to borrow money from you. But when you get an introduction from a local broker that's done business with that bank, it immediately, in my opinion, puts you at like the front of the top of the stack, essentially. Would you agree with that, Andrew? Like, I'm sure that banker was just like, oh, dude, like, all right, well, send me what you got. Of course, I'm already. He's
Yeah.
giving you a soft yes versus already a hard no.
No, it's absolutely. I mean, the whole call, it was very, very high energy and positive on his end. He said, we'd really like to do, you know, I don't remember how he phrased it, but anyway, really like to work together on this deal. He
Yeah.
said the numbers and everything you're telling me right now um, sounds like something we'd definitely be interested in. And it looks like to me that's what type of appetite that bank is looking for. So, if we make it to the end of this bank, that might also be a referral that someone else can use on this platform with the CRE group if it's a good contact. So,
Well, not only that, but like you say, you're thinking long range, and the way that I'm considering this as well is once you get in tight with one banker like that, then here's the key too. This is what I've discovered is when you're first rolling, you feel like you're having to sell yourself a little bit as a banker or as an investor. Like, okay, hey, here's my assets. Here's the building that I own. Here's my own income from my, you're trying to sell this banker. Like you feel like he's up on like this high pedestal, like I'm higher and mighty than you. You're trying to get a loan from him. The difference where it was switch is where if you look at yourself as a partner of the bank or the partner of the banker, where the bank has to lend money to make money, right? So if you can have the opinion that I've got a good asset, I've got strong income from this lease, this is a good tenant, whatever, you're helping him make money too. So it's truly like a win-win instead of thinking about how can I get a loan, instead of you can position yourself and think, hey, I'm about to I'm about to make this banker some money, and he's incentivized um, by bringing on new loans and by placing new loans in force. Then if you can think about it that way, it's going to allow you to have that much more of a runway with him. And then when you start servicing that debt, I swear, 6 months in a row of debt service, they're going to think that you walk on water. Like a new borrower that services debt on time, that's like, oh my God. They're gonna be like, how can we lend you money on the next deal? What's next? What's next? Can I buy you lunch? Can we get some beers, like, or coffee or whatever? And so you'd be off to the races on that. So that's great, man. That's awesome to hear.
thanks.
Yeah, man. All right, CH, you and I were talking earlier this week, I guess just a couple of days ago, actually. Give us all kind of a little background on what you're working on, and then our conversation, your opinion, and everything from there.
Sure. Hey, Hugh. I'm up in South Barrington, so I'm not too far from you.
Yeah, yeah. Nice to meet you.
Welcome, welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm looking at a 62,000 foot property up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. They just got hit a week ago with, I don't know, 30 inches of snow, so that was interesting. I was supposed to go up there that day. But anyhow, yeah, so this building is in quite disrepair, but it meets a lot of the criteria that we look for in the properties that we need. It's in Brown County, which is the county Green Bay's in. There is no there's basically no industrial properties in that county anymore. It's just no vacancies, low vacancies, I should say, and nothing to buy. So there's intrinsic value just to the property and trying to figure out where to go with the building. And so Nolan said, why don't, we hadn't even put in an LOI. Nolan said, why don't you just go do a pre-inspection just to get a clearer view of what's really necessary. And so did that. And that was a little bit of an investment, not a whole lot, but it was investment of time and money. And that came back, saying it's an old building. A lot of it was built in 1960s, some of it's newer. And it's needing some tear down and some repours on the foundation. And so then Nolan and I talked, a couple days ago, I think Tuesday that was, and he asked me to put together a budget for one doing just a rehab with the bare minimum just to get it up to standard to make it leasable. And then what if we did, and then the other thought was, what if we did knock it down, or at least a good portion of it down, maybe not some of the newer parts, but what would that cost? So I had some rough figures from the realtor, and I put it all. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's the property there. Nolan, I don't know if those. Yeah, that's the current property. You can see it's chopped up into about five different sections, and what's also great about it is next door is a factory. That's my AI
I love the
renovation.
AI. I would love to
Yeah.
see this truck try and get out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's going to be doing the Austin Powers, like just shimmy back and forth for like
Yeah.
25 minutes.
I was wondering, like, maybe it's a 12-foot truck that it estimates for that
I
last
love
that
it. I
last
think it's hilarious.
dock.
It looks pretty though. I would say it looks
Yeah,
nice.
it certainly does. Yeah. But that was just an AI. I just
It's
typed
awesome.
in a few things. But that's the current building. What's great about it too, the north of what on the picture, to the top side, is another industrial building, and that's occupied by a Belgium um, ice cream cone company, and they're using probably half the space right now for their own purposes, and they don't want to buy it. I talked to the owner of the Belgium group, and they're not really interested in buying it. If they have to, they don't want to lose it. But so that was great. I was like, terrific. I got a half of it leased already. Um, and uh, yeah, so like I said, intrinsic value to it. And then so I did put those budgets together, Nolan. I sent them to you, but
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you had a chance to look at them or but that's where I'm at right now. And I'm trying to figure out, do we proceed with this? Do we just walk away? Do we send something to the owner, the LOI, and just here's what we think it's worth, and let him keep coming down until he gets so frustrated he says, "Okay, guys, we'll
Yeah,
send
that's
it."
right. Well, what I mentioned for CH here is that this building right here, um, according to the inspection report, which I could pull up, you're not going to get much out of it, but it's, you could see it. It's basically what you would have said, CH, is that this is, time frame for things to be, there's a lot of action. There's a lot of things that need to be replaced or improved. And out of the gate, it feels like, okay, this stinks. There's a lot of action. But I look at this as like, imagine, what do they say? Like asbestos is like liquid gold to some people. It depends on how you look at it. It's all about how you think. And to me, when there is something that's incredibly, um, dilapidated like this, it gets me excited because there's opportunity here because the seller knows that there's all this repairs that are needed and he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do it. He probably most likely, CH, you can probably give us that opinion, but he probably doesn't want to do it himself. And that's why he's trying to sell it. And he's trying to sell it at an overpriced valuation based on what the current rents are, not based on what the actual outstanding costs of improvement are. So what I told CH on the phone the other day was, what was it? Maybe Tuesday? I don't know, whatever it was. We
Tuesday.
spoke on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we spoke on the phone for a couple minutes. And what my opinion is go over all of these costs, figure out what and the way you guys can come up with this, I'll look at this vacant offer calculator and come up with your offer that way. But when you know you have these outstanding costs, let's say this, I got to use round numbers because I went to public school, but $1 million building, and you know that there's going to be 500 or $300,000, call it $300,000 of total cost that you're going to have to you have to handle. Make sure you have to deduct that from the purchase price, like straight up and down. There's no reason to. In what I told CH is I said, when that happens, the seller is there's going to be two things. The seller's going to be pretty jaded out of the gate because he thought his building was worth more. But then what's going to happen is he's going to realize that, hey, no wonder my building is sitting around. Nobody's buying it. It's because it's extremely overpriced. And then you make him a strong offer based on, the improvements that you're going to have to make. And then right now he's just probably not motivated. And then give it some time, and then there'll be motivation on the back end, right? Do you have an opinion on that, CH? That's kind of where our conversation was left off.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He is a tired landlord. He's retired. He spends the winters out in California. He comes back to Green Bay. I did a little research on him. I can have a call with him, like the real estate agent says, hey, and he's ready if you want to talk. So I'm just trying to prepare myself. Like, what are my numbers? Where do I want to go? Where do we want to go with this? And try to figure that out. But yeah, it's the first time I'm through this, so
I know, so it makes it fun. It's
Yeah.
it's fun because you're just kind of it's like you're blazing a new trail.
Yeah.
It's the unknown.
Yeah.
And what I'd recommend again is you're in a spot right now where you do not have to overpay. That's the blessing. Is if you have a guy that is motivated where he wants to sell, or maybe he is saying, hey, I want to sell, but I just don't want to sell at the price that you're asking. Well, then, like I told you the other day, it's imagine like, this is your offer and this is what he thinks it's valued at. Oh, the only thing in the middle is the time. The time will shrink those two distances from each other. It just takes time because it's the same reason how we discovered, when interest rates, remember a couple of years ago where they were like in the fours and everyone and their brothers, like it was like a feeding frenzy. I feel like they were like, like I don't know, just like everybody just was hungry to eat because it was the interest rates were so cheap. It's the same thing, but now the difference is that when all of these owners thought that their building was worth that at the time, because with real estate, right, with commercial property, it's based on the cash flow, and with interest rates being so suppressed, that just allowed the cash flow to be larger. So they valued their building as more. And that's what they were trying to selling it at a 5.5 cap rate. But now with interest rates being in the low sixes, which is probably stabilized, it essentially proves that the value of your building is not worth what it was 3 years ago because of interest rate, because of debt. Now you can buy it down and get cute with swaps and stuff. But all I'm saying is, for CH's point, I think the motivation, the seller needs to be motivated. And if they're not motivated, you don't need to spend time with them on that, because here's the offer, here's the math. It's not emotional, it's just mathematical. Here's our offer. Again, in like what you said, here's our inspection report. You can go over all the details of what it's going to cost me. And I would be crazy dialed in on some of these costs. Like, hey, it's gonna run me, $800,000 to do all these things that I got, a third party appraisal, third party inspection, and I gotta retrade the price from the offer now, and they're gonna come back to you. It's almost inevitable. It's the same way when you make that first offer on seller financing, and they have this initial rejection and just like fear or I don't know. You say, well, listen, this isn't talk to your tax professional first. They usually come back and ask if they can leave 30% in the deal versus 25%, So making that offer out of the gate. So anybody got a thought or a question on that or on CH's deal or anything in between?
Yeah, I'm just curious, is this like typical for an inspection report? I feel like these inspection reports, they're not doing their job unless they find something wrong, but that seems like a lot. Is that
Well,
normal?
you got to have those inspectors that do well. CH, you tell me. I mean, this
It's
building was
realistic.
built in whenever it
Yeah.
was built in like
Yeah,
1960 or something. So I
right.
think this guy just has some date on it. Maybe the guy that was the owner of it was a lot older. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. Am I crazy?
Yeah. He's let it go into disrepair.
Yeah.
He hasn't kept it up. And he moved his business out. I'm not even sure when he moved his business out, but it was a while ago, at least 10 years. So this is just kind of sat there and
Yeah.
and he hasn't been able to lease it, hasn't been able to do anything. And um, and
Bro.
I don't think the inspector was overstating anything.
Mm.
Even in his estimations, he couldn't be quite precise because, didn't want to be thrown, he was doing the best he could at what
Yeah.
the estimations was. But I interviewed a lot of inspectors. So this inspector does about 250 inspections a year. So
Mm.
commercial, not home at all, no
Wow.
home. And
Nice.
that
Yeah.
was one of my things was no home inspectors. I want strict commercial, and I found it down to two, and this guy had the best reputation and all. And so I really trusted him and what he said. And he pointed out some things that I didn't even see before. A lot of, number of things, but especially with the electrical, I just wasn't familiar with it. But some of it was outdated, some of it was, you know, crazy, and just needs to be.
Another thought too, on top of that too, Hugh, as you're getting rolling, is I always recommend printing out this page, this due diligence checklist. I mean, you're not going to have
Mm.
obviously the same underwriting as what that inspector had, but having this information when you can ask these questions, you have this one pager printed out, even talking about, you know, the HVAC warranty, the age of the HVAC, the age of the roof. You can have some of this information that's on here. Two things that it does is it not only allows you to ask better, more direct questions, but also when you're walking it with that broker, it's going to come across as more sophisticated. You're going to have a better the insurance or the broker is going to be like, okay, this guy's asking good questions. He knows what he's talking about, what he's looking for. So
Yeah,
it adds a couple of just another layer of sophistication,
yeah.
and this guy's serious. He's not messing around. I'm
Yeah,
not
Yeah.
and
not getting my
Nolan,
time
I'll
wasted.
I'll I'll back you on that because I did look at that. I basically studied that as I went with the inspector, and I said, okay, here's my list of questions. And he taught me a number of things. Like this had been a cold storage unit, but the ventilation under some of the areas wasn't done correctly. So that cold storage sitting on a slab cracked the slab. So that's why some of that's tear out and re-pour the slab. The other
Mm.
part of it is on older buildings like this, there can be asbestos. And I know, Nolan typically says 1980 or later. But this being 1960, yeah, that was one of my concerns, and we do have some areas we're concerned about.
Yeah. Well, again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, there's
Yeah,
not a right or wrong answer. It's always, if that's the case, how do we negotiate around the situation, right? So if there's asbestos and there's a and the cost of that to remove that is going to be $4,000 or whatever the number would be, well then that just needs to be deducted, and
yeah,
and you just like make your offer not based upon opinion or emotion, but just a matter of fact. Like this, look, this is the cost. This is what I'm paying. I was going to make you this offer at this price. But now, because of all these additional costs, I have to make you this offer at this price. And if you want me to give you that price, still no problem. But I'm going to need you to leave a shit ton of money in the deal.
yeah.
You can do and negotiate a deal that way, I guess. So, anybody else have a thought or a question on that? I mean, again, I'm all about working. Again, I think what really will happen, CH, like I told you on the phone, is he's gonna might be a little jaded and offended when you first call him or when you first you know
Present that.
present that offer, but he'll come back because he's gonna see the numbers. If you don't do it, 'cause someone's gonna have to do it.
Right.
It's inevitable. Somebody will have to do it, and he's already got a motivated buyer with you, and then you guys can from that point. That's where I think the psychology comes in, where it's like, hey, listen, call John, him the seller. Hey John, listen. At the end of the day, man, it's not me versus you on this one. It's actually you and I versus the government. Uncle Sam is our silent partner on this, and he's trying to screw us out of capital gains tax. Let's find a way to actually reduce that as much as we can on this purchase with all these improvements that are necessary. I think there's some, sir, there's an opportunity here. It just needs to be negotiated to the terms of those expenses need to be, a part of that deal where you're not coming out of pocket for that. That's the bank's financing it, or on top of it, the seller leaves money in the deal or discounts the purchase price on that. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Nolan.
Anybody else have a thought or opinion on that or question or any idea? Cool. All right. What else is everybody working on right now? Anybody else have deals or opinions or thoughts that they're moving on? I know you guys have probably seen some um, interest rates. They're up, they're down, whatever. Uh, I've got you know, I can share with you guys a couple other things that we're up to, not only just real estate, some oil and gas. You got some people that complain about it, but it depends on what side of the coin you're on. So, happy to share what I'm up to, but would like to hear what you guys are doing yourself.
I got one real quick, Nolan.
Hey, John.
I'd like to get everybody's thoughts on. You mind sharing your screen or letting me share
Yep.
mine?
Let me see here.
I'll show everybody the perform on it. So my broker brought this to me last week. It's an owner user, and he's
Go ahead.
okay. Let's put this right. All right, can y'all see this here?
In a second. Yep, we can see it. Yep.
Okay. So he was asking, it's let's see, it's smaller than we typically would want to go after. It doesn't meet that, 10 to 40,000 square foot, but it's 58, 52. It's a current like construction and plumbing company. The owner user wants to do a sale leaseback. He's willing to do it for 3 years. And he's willing to what he's agreed to offer is the $15 a square foot, which is on the high end. So I know it's not the greatest. The market's like 12 to 15, I was told. So I just threw an LOI to him, had my broker do it, and I went in there at, 875, and he's with 25% seller financing. And he countered. Well, let me show you the place though first so everybody can kind of see it real quick. So this is the building here. A a value add, I guess, is what's been talked about is splitting this up into two or three different properties, with just the wall. I don't know if that's exciting to me or not, but um, it's not a real good picture there. That's all we got to work with, I guess, here on this one. I'm going to walk the property on Tuesday, so I'll be able to bring more back to the group and know. But
Yes.
this is the outside of it, so it's in a good spot in Tulsa, pretty good spot. Um, the uh, the counter that they came with. Sorry, I do have a closing tomorrow. I'm happy to say.
Hell yeah,
So
dude. Let's go. Let's
that's my
go.
first property. It was I was reviewing the closing statement.
Dude, congrats, brother. That's awesome, man.
So appreciate that.
That's awesome. That's earned right there.
Yeah, it was supposed to be last Friday, got pushed back, and it's 3.5 hours away. So I'm like, look, I don't want to drive all unless we got everything all ironed out, all the details ready to roll. So I think we're good to go.
Get your
I've
pause.
made sure of it. So let me. So here was his. Sorry, that's a different one. Let me. I was trying to get to the counter. So we could see what he said. Well, hell, I don't know where his counter. I can tell you what his counter was. He agreed to the price. He's willing to do. Dang it.
No, it's all right. No problem.
He's willing to do 20% financing. He's um, he wants to charge me 8% interest. If we do 5 years, he will do 6% for 3 years and balloon it at the end. The price 875 is agreed to. He'll do a 3 year lease back. After that, he's kind of outgrown that facility or that building, so he's wanting to go, buy a different one. So kind of wanted to get. I know you didn't see much of it, but knowing what I've been able to share, I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, I think out of the gate, my biggest tactic would say if you can go longer, even though the interest rate that he's offering you 8%, right?
Right.
On 5 years.
Yes.
I would just go back and go for 5 years and just say, hey, listen, I'll do 6 at 5 years or something. Like if you can get a longer balloon with no prepayment penalty or however you negotiate that, I would go 5 years all day long. Obviously, it just gives you more runway and it gives you more
Yeah.
ability. Even though the cost might be a little more expensive, make a statement. Don't even offer it. Make it a statement. Say, here's what I'm willing to offer you. I'll do. How about this? I'll do something at 6% interest only over, or you could do something silly and say, hey, all right, you want or you want a balloon after 5 years. Let's amortize it over 100 years or something so ridiculous. Um, I like letting them know that you're in control. Like, don't let him dictate the terms. Again, he's selling to you. If he wants that purchase price, he wants what he wants. You got to get all the terms that you want. And you don't want to lose a deal over a couple of points, but man, go in at like 6% and say, hey, how about this? How about 6%? We'll give you, well, like almost read it back to him and be like, hey, all right, that sounds good. 80% loan to value sounds great. You leave 20% of the deal. We will do 6% interest only, simple interest on a 5 year balloon. Here's the LOI. Get your eyes on it and we'll sign that and we'll actually get the whole thing moving forward. Like, don't even question it or give them an option to reconsider or question it. Just make a statement about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. He said, I mean, he told my broker, which, my broker has this listing. So he brought it to me first, but he just said if he's going to be the bank, he's going to make money on it. But I agree. Now that I'm closing on my first deal, I'm really not in a big rush to, just go find another one immediately until I want to get this closing done tomorrow. And then, I feel like I am in control and in charge of that. So I feel like I'll go walk the property on Tuesday, take a closer look at it. And yeah, I really 8% is too much. My thought was, I offered five. I probably should have offered four, but I'll go up to six, and it's got to be 5 years because that's typically when we're gonna, refinance, right? So, um, yeah, and I don't know about splitting these properties up. I don't know. It's kind of more of a commercial, not an industrial. So it's not, it's not ideal, but um, has anybody in the group done one of those yet? More of a commercial,
What,
smaller
splitting up
scale.
parcels?
Yeah, or well, splitting up parcels. I mean, that throwing up a wall. I mean, any idea? I guess it depends on what that's going to cost, but has anybody done that?
I haven't experienced splitting up parcels. I'm doing that on a building right now. It's not that expensive. I think these guys charge, actually, it's a title company that's doing it. And I think they're charging like, man, $2,500 to split up. I've got a big old building and I am splitting it up into three different parcels in case I wanted to sell one or two off at a time. It's going to change my debt a little bit, but it's I don't know if it's like the price is really not like that expensive though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's good news because I was thinking, a lot higher than that.
No,
But
I mean it's like call it. I probably should have negotiated better. I bet you can get a splitting a parcel. I bet you can get that done for like less than $2,000.
yeah, I mean, my broker, yeah, he's telling me, if do the 3-year lease, and then we start marketing it, 6 months or so before he moves out, before the lease expires, and then see if we get any interest. And for a value add play, we could always split it up and get more out of it. So I mean, more, I guess, having 2 to 3 different tenants. I can see the value in that. I don't know how to do a value add on this besides throwing some paint on it or, doing some different flooring or something like that. But I mean, we're not far off from the current,
Well,
the
John,
current seller.
what about an adjacent site? Is there any other parcels that's around that you could potentially purchase or get a ground lease on? Have you looked around?
No, I mean, I haven't been out there yet. Like I said, he
Okay.
sent this to me last week. So
Okay.
I'm going there Tuesday. I
Okay.
have an appointment with the my broker and the seller. So we'll walk the property and and I can ask that question to the broker and see if there's anything else around there. If you're talking for like a lay down yard or
Yeah,
that kind of
just some
thing.
type of way of improving, you know, not only like, your existing site, but really it's about the lease, right? Where you can say, hey, tenant that's interested, not only do you get 10,000 feet of warehouse, but also we got this acre of laydown that you could use if you've got product or you've got trucks that you need to be parked or whatever. And you can rent that dirt out for, usually, what I've discovered, it's about 4,000. This is in Alabama, about 4,000 an acre, but you can probably lease that dirt for like 500 to 600 bucks. So you can get. I mean, some of these owners are just like they don't have a clue what they own, and not that you can rip them off, but you can take full advantage of their knowledge. Like they don't have any knowledge about what they own. And usually, it's tied up in a trust, especially if somebody has passed away and their kid got it. You can steal it from these people. You can buy an acre of dirt for $10,000, but you can rent it for 4,000 a month. So
Yeah.
that opportunity is there, man, straight up and down.
Yeah, I'll check with them. I'll check with my broker, and then like I said, I'll walk the property next week, and then I was just he said he was surprised he came down, but he sounds pretty motivated. He
That's
told
the
Dakota, my broker,
motivation.
that he wants to make a deal.
Yeah. No, man,
So
that's great to hear.
yeah, I guess I'll walk the property and report back next week and let you guys know how it goes.
That sounds great, man. And also just congrats on the closing, brother. That is just like fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
I'm
the work.
excited.
It takes work, it takes effort, but not to mention I don't know what the size of that deal is, but I mean that's some serious bonus depreciation right there, that you'll be able to, hone in and utilize for your taxes.
Yeah, it's 13,000 square feet. We paid 750,
Yeah, it's
and then the
amazing.
owner did a sale leaseback for 5 years. So that's kind of the gist of it.
Dude, that's just amazing,
And
man.
he financed 25%, 5%.
Dude,
So it's kind
congratulations.
of right
That
down the
is
middle of
awesome.
what we're looking for.
That is awesome. That is like middle of the fairway. That's like Masters on a Sunday right there, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
Congratulations.
I think I
That's
got
awesome.
kind of lucky on it, honestly. But so it kind of far out there between, Oklahoma City and Dallas. So it's like a little bit no man's land. So I think everybody just kind of missed it because of the location. But it's an industrial supply place. So he covers all that area and been in business for 50 years. So
Wow.
um, but anyways, see if
Well,
anybody
the
else got
first
anything
the
going
first of
on.
many with that guy. Hopefully you close this one and then he'll say, "Hey, well, wait a minute. I got, four other buildings that I need to sell you, and then bam, you're off to the races.
Yeah.
So, no,
Well,
that's
thank
awesome,
you.
man. Congratulations. That's great.
Thank you, man.
Awesome. All right, what else is next? What else is working on? Anybody else got anything happening? All right. Well, what I'll mention is I'll give you a quick recap of what I've been working on just to be brief. I've got two LOIs sent out on some of these Tractor Supply companies. One's in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and one's down in Mobile, Alabama. And these are one of them is $8.22 million. The other one is 7.8 something million dollars, whatever it is. But globally, just over 15 million bucks. And the problem is, of course, is that these are owned by the guys that have developed the actual site. So what these guys did, of course, they went and developed the site. They leased the space up. They're working with um, Tractor Supply, and I'm not getting a great deal on it. I made an offer at a nine cap, and we're coming together probably at like an eight, a little over an eight. But the difference is some of these banks that I'm running with, the same guys that are on our contact list, when you have these tenants will trade on a 15-year credit tenant that's publicly traded. They can reduce their debt service coverage ratio from 1.25 down to like 1.1, so they can get Q on their debt and their to get the deal right. But then also too, I have another broker that I can introduce you guys to that I don't have this like arousement with Tractor Supply. I'm just trying to find something that's a lot like something I'm looking for. Again, if I'm being honest with you guys, like I'm letting the tax tail, the tax um, tail wag the dog. Essentially, I'm trying to find ways because I've discovered that like if you buy $1 million warehouse, the cash flow is 25-30 thousand a year, but the tax deduction is over 100,000 a year. Like that's the key. And I'm like, I just want people to know like taxes are what we can focus on. You'll save a shit ton of money and you'll still have the cash flow from the building. Like focusing on the tax, the benefit and the incentive from tax is the name of the game. So what I'm saying is I've got another broker that is looking at these other sites, and we've got some ideas with um, some of these brokers that represent. Now, I'm not in the development business, but I'm also not opposed to it. But these businesses, these brokers that represent, again, a Tractor Supply. I'm not into Dollar General because I'm not into that. But like even these silly little like scooter coffees, right, off of like one-off parcels off the side of the highway. I say all of that. There is opportunity with with those types of deals simply because the leases are so long, and you can and the tax opportunity is like just amazing. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now. I'm working on, like I said, it's I don't have them under contract. I hope to be under contract in a couple of weeks. Um, but about 15 million bucks of just of property to purchase. And I'm probably going to end up selling. I've got a meeting tomorrow with another broker just on some of the buildings that I have now. I'm just going to like package a couple of them up and sell them maybe even on terms, or just sell them to somebody else and then 1031 and exchange them into one of these larger deals. So that's what I'm working on. I'm trying to make a buck like everybody else. I got 3 kids that are domestic terrorists. So I'm working on that myself. So yeah, trying to find a way, guys. So I'm with you guys, like in the trenches, always looking for deals. If you guys again find something when that deal pops up, um, the other blessing is again our champions. They're all looking for deals. So when those opportunities come up, present it, and then let's raise some money. Let's buy some property. That kind of thing. So, any thoughts, questions as we're rolling?
Yeah, Nolan, I had a question.
Yeah, man.
I was talking to these guys. I think I mentioned this on another call, but they were the capital markets guys for Matthews with a couple brokers that I was working with over there. And I mentioned to them that, our strategy is seller financing. And they were telling me that they have a lot of trouble securing loans when it comes to an investor that's doing the seller financing route. And I was kind of confused on why they would face trouble with that, as long as, we have an LOI from the seller saying, what everything's squared away on that end, and we have the LOI with the tenant. So have you ever run into problems with banks that don't want to provide loans if you're taking the seller financing route?
All right, 2 answers to this. So this is for everyone. This is good information. That's a good question. So I actually was just speaking with Brent Bouchine or Bouchine, who's in our group as well. He's got a deal, like a $6 million deal tied up in like somewhere in Dallas. He's working on right now. I'm surprised he's not on here. But the answer is this. Just so everyone's understanding, again, I'm going to use a round number, $1 million warehouse, $1 million building. When the bank, your community bank, right, whoever, they send you a term sheet, Will, for, hey, we will lend you 75% of the purchase price, right, or the cost of value, right, whatever. Like $1 million warehouse, we're going to lend you whatever the appraised value. Oh, it appraises for $1 million. Okay, perfect. We'll lend you 75% of that, right?
Mhm.
So they have offered you $750,000. As long as their collateral is in their position is in first position, they have access to the collateral and they have first right of all the rents, right? Like that's their offer in exchange for them lending you money, right? That's the offer from them. They do not, and again, this comes down to your relationship with your lenders. The banks that we can run with and should run with don't give a shit where the other 25% comes from. It can be in the form of equity, because usually when you close, you as the individual are the one that is wiring money to the title company for that $250,000. Like that's what completes the transaction. The 75 from the bank wiring that money, and the 25% from you wiring that money to be 100%, right? So on paper, when the bank wires that 75% over the 750, there's still $250,000 that has not been wired, that has not completed the transaction. So that's when the seller leaves money in the deal, the bank doesn't care. The bank should not care how the other 25% is funded, because it does not disturb or affect their position. Their position is in first position. They have access to they have collateral, they own the collateral, and they control. If you get abducted by aliens, well, then the rents go to them, right? So they're making their money back. So the other 25% is where the negotiation happens. Again, if the bank is worried about a second position, that it's the wrong bank, it's the wrong teammate, it's the wrong partner, because those banks probably are a little bit too large, if I'm being honest with you. Like,
Yeah.
probably too big. The smaller banks, and I recommend anybody below $2 billion of assets, if you get a bank that's got even like 500 million in assets, which still sounds like a large number to banks, that's a tiny number. Those dudes are cowboys. There are no rules. Nobody tells them how to lend money. They're wildcats. They can do anything. There's no regulation on how they lend money, because, just for everybody to be aware, the reason why there is no regulation is because it's shareholder owned. it's not owned by, it's not publicly traded. So you don't have
Mhm.
all these shareholders all over the United States where they have to, go in or really over the world. But the reason why the wildcat banks, the less than $2 billion of assets, they're regulated differently, and when the loan is processed and actually placed into force, they hold on to those loans. They don't package them up and sell them as a mortgage-backed security. So they have to trust you as the borrower. So I mean all that. There's no rules on the regulation of lending. So on those types of cases and those types of deals, if a bank is saying we don't like that deal or whatever, you're with the wrong bank. Like you're with the wrong partner, straight up and down. Like
And that
find
makes
a new
sense
tango.
because
Tango with
those
somebody else.
guys, yeah, those guys are New York City guys.
Oh God.
They're
Oh God.
probably,
Yeah.
so like they were trying to talk like they knew everything. And, I was a little in over my head on the conversation. I was like, look, maybe, sometime if you guys really want to get into the strategy, we can get you linked up with Nolan and he can explain to you. But I obviously never did that. I'm not going to make you do that.
Those guys are
Um,
middlemen. They're gonna flip the paper. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but they're gonna
Yeah,
flip the
no,
paper and catch their spread.
all they're doing is looking to secure a loan for us for 1% with favorable terms, and
That's right.
because they got the relationships and because they know the tricks of the trade, they can get a better quote unquote deal. But it makes complete sense when you're saying go for the smaller banks, less regulation, they're looking to make those deals. So that completely answered my question.
The smaller the better. And the best part about that too, because I've got another bank like Millennial Bank, who if you see on the contact list, like that's another great partner of mine. They are cowboys, but when they're smaller, you hit your cap pretty quickly. Like you borrow
Mhm.
3 million bucks from them, they can only lend you legally so much money,
Mhm.
But if you
So you got
got
to find
good,
multiple versions or
that's
multiple
right.
similar banks.
Find If you can find 5 banks that will lend you that all have less than $1 billion in assets, you cannot lose
Mhm.
because the loan committee is literally the loan officer, the president, and the president's like wife.
Mhm.
It is literally there's nobody around. So
Mhm.
they make the choice based on the tenant, the location, the building, and then the borrower. And
Mhm.
they all just kind of sit around, drink some coffee, drink a couple of beers, and be like, should we lend this guy some money or not? And we're going to borrow from the money from the Fed. Okay, we're going to buy this block of cash from the Fed at 5%. We'll just upcharge it to somebody else. And is this guy going to pay us back on time with interest? Like that's basically the conversation, straight up and down.
Mhm. Got it.
Yeah. Small banks. The smaller the
Small thing.
better. A wildcat, if you can think about the wildcat banks are your greatest partner. Your greatest partner. I love it. All right. Any other thoughts, questions as we get rolling out of here for Hugh's first call? Awesome.
Hugh, the only advice that I would give you, man, is just dive into the language
Yeah.
of this game. It's just like any other game. As long as you can speak the language to the brokers and the sellers, they take you as a professional. And, that's
Right.
just going through these modules and taking as many notes as possible. And then also just getting on the phone and trying it out.
Yeah.
You're going to mess up the first 10 times. Who cares? You learn from your lessons just like anything else in life, but that's my only advice.
I appreciate it, Will. I feel like the learning curve is a little high for me right now, but I've watched a lot of videos, and every single time I listen to a call like this, pick something up. So it's all good. Thank you.
No, it's great. And for everybody that's here and we'll get moving is like I think again, we got CH, John, Andrew, and Will on here right now. Like you guys I think everybody would say that when you first got started, it's a little overwhelming. It's a little intimidating. You're like, okay, the vocabulary, you get on that pro forma, it's like, whoa, there's a lot of tabs here. Like, what am I looking at? But but again, you get into it. You play the game. You wake up every day. You go to the batting cage. You take you take some flips. You get on the batting tee. Like you start to get a feel for it, and then eventually you get. I mean, CH is talking about having it's just great. It's just really great. It takes time, but when you play the game, it's a skill that you're developing and learning that nobody can take away from you. That
Yeah.
kind of thought.
Yeah.
So, sound good,
Awesome.
everybody?
Yep. Thanks, Nolan.
All right.
Yeah, thanks,
Awesome,
guys.
Well, you got my cell. If you got something on your mind, guys, do not hesitate to call me. You know, you guys can always reach out, and I'll put this up on school. And we'll go from there. All right, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Have a good week.
Take care.
Talk to
See
you
ya.
soon. Thank you.
Thanks.